Hello friends, welcome to my new data structures and algorithms in Java tutorial series video. Friends, in this tutorial we will discuss how to insert a word in try. Friends, in our previous tutorial we actually saw a demo of how to insert a word in try by seeing the different use cases. So friends, in this tutorial we'll actually see the working of this algorithm step by step. So friends, below you can see the code to insert a word into a try. So let's see its demonstration step by step. So friends, whenever we initialize a try, we know that root points to an empty try node, because in the constructor we simply create a new try node and we'll simply assign it to root. So root will point to an empty try node. Now let's say we want to insert a word cat. So here string word will point to cat. So here we are simply seeing the string word in the form of character array, where C is at index 0, A at 1 and T at 2. So we'll see how we can insert cat into this try character by character. Also friends, in our previous tutorials we discussed that we always start from the root when we are inserting any new word. So in the step 1, what we'll do, we'll simply create a temporary node current, and whatever the node root points, we'll simply assign it to current. So it would look something like this, that current points to a node which root refers. Moving ahead, friends, now we will provide a for loop, because we need to iterate each and every character of this word and we have to insert into this try. So we'll start from the 0th index and we'll iterate this for loop till index 2. So the condition we place in the for loop is I should be less than word.length. So here word.length will be nothing but 3. So as we are starting from 0, we need to traverse till 2. Moving ahead. So in the for loop, what we'll do, we'll first take the character at index 0. So we'll simply call the char method of the string and we will take the character at index 0, because currently the value of I is 0. So the char c will point to character c. Also friends, in our previous tutorial we discussed that how we are mapping this index with an actual character, and we saw that if we are subtracting a from any particular character, we'll get the index value. So here the value stored in C is C, and when we'll subtract a from it, we get the index value. So here index becomes 2. So in the try node array, index 2 maps to character C. So using this current try node, we'll see in the children array, which is nothing but the array of try node, and we'll see the value at index 2. We'll check whether value at index 2 is null or not. So here you can see currently value at index 2, which maps to C, is null. Therefore the condition in if block comes out to be true, which means that C is not present into this try, and now we will insert C into this try. So the first step we do is we simply create a new try node and we'll simply assign it to a temporary try node. Also friend, as we have created this new try node, we have to link the try node at index 2, which maps to C, to this try node. So what we do is we simply assign a value of node to current.children at index 2, which maps to C. So it would look something like this, that now there is a link established from root to this try node from the index 2, which maps to C. Moving ahead. And also friends, in our previous tutorial we also discussed that as soon as we insert a try node, we simply traverse to that particular node. So here we'll simply assign the value of node to current. So now current will point to this try node. Moving ahead. So after incrementing value of I becomes 1. So the character at index 1 is A. So value of C becomes A. We will evaluate the value of index by subtracting A from the value stored in char C, which is nothing but A. So when we'll do A minus A, we get the value as 0, which makes sense because index 0 will map to a character A. Moving ahead, now as current is pointing to this try node, we will check into its children array that at index 0 whether its value is null or not. So currently you can see the value at try node, which is at index 0, points to null. Therefore condition in if block comes out to be true. So in order to insert A, we'll first create a new try node and we'll simply assign it to a temporary node. And in order to insert this try node in try, what we'll do, we'll simply assign the value of node, which is this try node, to current.children at index 0. So here it would look something like this, that now there would be a link from index 0 to this try node. Then we'll simply traverse to this try node by assigning value of node to current. So now current will point to this try node. Moving ahead, now after incrementing value of I by 1, it becomes 2. So now we will insert the value at index 2, which is t, into this try. So value of char C will become t. Then we will evaluate the index of the character t. So we'll simply subtract A from t. So it will give index value as 19. So in the if block we'll again check that value at index 19 is equal to null or not. So here you can see the value at index 19 of this trinode array, which maps to t, is null. Therefore condition in if block comes out to be true. Now in order to insert t, we'll first create a new trinode and we'll simply assign it to a temporary node. Moving ahead, and now we'll assign the value of node to this trinode array at index 19, which maps to t. So it would look something like this. The trinode at index 19 will now point to a newly created trinode. And finally we'll simply traverse current to this newly created trinode by assigning the value of node to current. So it would look something like this, that current will now point to this newly created trinode. Now after incrementing the value of I by 1, I becomes 3. So the condition in for loop comes out to be false because 3 is not less than 3. So here we simply take an exit from this for loop. And also friends, in our previous tutorial we discussed that the last step we do is we simply mark the boolean value is word to be true, stating that this is the end of the word. So we'll simply assign the value true to current.isWord. So it becomes true. Moving ahead. Now friend, let's suppose we want to insert a string sun. So we'll again call the insert method by passing in word as sun. So it would look something like this. So as we are inserting a new word, we'll start from the root. So we'll create a temporary node current which will start from the root. And then we'll simply iterate each and every character of this word using this for loop. So in the first step we'll insert S. So C will have value as S. We will evaluate its index position by subtracting A from S. So index will become 18. Then we'll provide a if block and we'll check that into this trinode array at index 18 what's the value, whether it's pointing to null or not. So here you can see currently it is pointing to null. So the condition in if block comes out to be true. So in order to insert S, we'll first create a new try node and we'll assign it to a temporary try node. And as we are inserting this new try node into the try, we'll simply assign the value of node to this try node array at index 18, which maps to S. So it would look something like this, that the try node at index 18, which maps to S, now points to this newly created try node. Moving ahead, so after this assignment, we'll simply traverse current to this newly created try node by assigning the value of node to current. So it would look something like this, that current will now point to this newly created try node. So after incrementing the value of I by 1, I becomes 1. So now we'll insert O. So value of char C will become O. We will evaluate its index position by subtracting A from O. So it would give index as 14. Now as current is pointing to this node, so we will check that value of try node array at index 14, which maps to O, whether it's null or not. So currently you can see this value is pointing to null. Therefore the condition in if block comes out to be true. Now in order to insert O into this try, first we'll create a new try node and we'll assign it to a temporary try node. And as we want to insert this new try node into try, we'll simply assign the value of node to this try node array at index 14, which maps to O. So it would look something like this. Moving ahead, then we'll simply traverse current to this newly created try node by assigning the value of node to current. Now after incrementing I by 1, I becomes 2. So now we'll insert the value n. So the value of char C will become n. We will evaluate its index by subtracting A from n. So it would give index as 13. So in the if block, we'll simply check that value of this children array at index 13, which maps to n, is null or not. So currently you can see this value points to null. So the condition in if block comes out to be true. So in order to insert n into this try, we'll first create a new try node and we'll assign it to a temporary node. And then we'll simply assign this newly created node to the index 13 of this try node array, which maps to n. So it would look something like this. And then we'll simply move current to this newly created try node by assigning the value of node to current. So it would look something like this. So after incrementing the value of I becomes 3. So the condition in for loop comes out to be false. And then we will exit from this for loop. So friends, as we have inserted the word sun completely into this try, the last step we do is we simply assign the value true to current.isWord, stating that this is the end of the word. So it becomes true. Now friend, let's suppose we want to insert a word cab. So here you can see that we have already inserted word cat, and cab has a prefix CA, which maps to CA of cat. So we'll see how we can insert cab into this try. So we'll call the insert method by passing in word as cab. So word will have the value as cab. We'll start from the root by creating a temporary trie node by name current, and we'll assign a value of root to it. So it would look something like this. And then we'll provide a for loop which will iterate over each and every element of the word. So we'll start from C. We'll evaluate its index position by subtracting A from C. So index become 2. So into this children array, and we will see that whether value at index 2 which maps to C is equal to null or not. So here you can see the value is not null because it is pointing to a trie node. Therefore the condition in if block comes out to be false, which tells us that C is already there into this trie. So the else part will be executed. So in the else part we'll simply traverse current to a trie node which this trie node array holds at index 2 which maps to C. So it would look something like this. Moving ahead. Now after incrementing I by 1, I becomes 1. So now we will insert A. We will evaluate its index position by subtracting A from A, which gives index as 0. Then in the if block we will check that what's the value of children array at index 0. So here you can see that it is not equal to null and it is pointing to a trie node. Therefore the condition in if block comes out to be false and the else block will be executed. And in the else block, whatever the value this trie node array at index 0 is referring will simply traverse current to that trie node. So it would look something like this, that current will now point to this trie node. Now after incrementing I by 1, I becomes 2. So now we will insert B. Then we will evaluate index position of B by simply subtracting A from B. So it would give index as 1. And now we'll provide an if block and we'll check the value of this trie node array at index 1 which maps to B, that whether it's null or not. So here you can see that it is pointing to null. So the condition in if block comes out to be true. Now in order to insert B, we'll first create a new trie node and we'll assign its value to node. And then as we have to insert this trie node into the trie, we'll simply assign the value of node to this trie node array at index 1 which maps to B. So it would look something like this. And then we'll simply traverse current to this newly created trie node. So after incrementing I by 1, I becomes 3. So the condition in for loop comes out to be false because 3 is not less than 3. So this for loop will exit. And in the last step we'll simply assign the value of true to current.isWord, which states that this is the end of the word. Moving ahead. So friends, now let's cover the last use case by inserting a value so. So here you can see we have already inserted a word sun and the new word which we are inserting is so. So is already there into this trie. But we need to provide some additional info to this trie so that it can come to know that so is actually a word. So we'll simply call insert method again by providing a word as so. We will start from the root by creating a temporary trie node by name current. We'll provide a for loop which will iterate over each and every value of this word. So first we'll insert S. We'll first evaluate its index position by subtracting A from S. So index become 18. Now we'll provide an if block and we'll check the value of this trinode array at index 18 which maps to C. So here you can see that value is not equal to null. So the condition in if block comes out to be false. So the else block will be executed. And in the else block, whatever the node this children array at index 18 is pointing will simply traverse current to that node. So it would look something like this. Moving ahead, after incrementing the value of I by 1, it becomes 1. So now we'll insert O. We will evaluate index of O by subtracting A from O. So index is 14. Now we'll again provide an if block and we'll check the value in this trinode array at index 14. So here you can see the value is not pointing to null, it is pointing to a trinode. Therefore the condition in if block comes out to be false and the else block will be executed. So in the else block, whatever the value this trinode array at index 14 is pointing will simply traverse current to that trinode. So it would look something like this. Now after incrementing I by 1, I becomes 2. So the condition in for loop comes out to be false because 2 is not less than 2. So the for loop exits. And here is the most important part, that as current is pointing to this trinode and we have inserted this word completely into this trie, we will mark the isword property of this trinode to be true, stating that this is the end of the word. So by assigning the value true to this trinode, we are telling trie that the word so is in the trie. So at the later point of time, whenever we perform a search over in this trie, this boolean value will help us return a value true or false, that whether a particular word is present into a trie or not, which we will be seeing in our upcoming tutorials. So friends, in this tutorial we actually saw the demonstration of how to insert a word into a trie step by step. Now let's go to Eclipse and see the working of this code.